Hey folks, Mike here with a one-year review of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. I figured this is a good time to make this video because PUBG has been in the news in the last couple weeks because it's hit 1 million players peak again. So people are saying, hey, the game's not dead, despite it bleeding off a lot of players over the past year. But also it's worth talking about, a whole year as of their 1.0 release. How much support they've been putting onto this game. So we'll kind of cover player counts, updates, and kind of come away with some sort of conclusion, right? Have they done the right things? Have they done bad things? A mix of both? Who knows? But the best way to go about this, of course, is to fire up with a replay here. These are a couple decent replays that, obviously, number one. I'm going to save that one, right? Because winning games is pretty damn satisfying. And this happen on a somewhat regular basis for me now. So yeah, first off, as a context, I've put over 500 hours, I believe, in this game. I consider myself pretty good, right? Better than average, I'd say. Definitely better than average. But maybe not, like, definitely not pro level. And I don't know if I'd live stream that. If I had the internet to live stream this, I'd be one of those more entertaining people, I suppose, and less actual good, I suppose. But anyways, yeah, at least better than average. That's the way I like to think about it. I've got a lot of experience playing shooters, of course, so do figure that I probably have a bit of an idea what I'm talking about here. So yeah, I talked about player counts, right? This game's hit 1 million players again in December, which is absolutely not surprising. It's the holidays. There's a lot of people who are going to fire up this game, plus new map. So, it'll get some of those people to actually fire up the game. If I do this, hey, you guys get some nice outlines for everyone around me. Cool, eh? Fun stuff you can do with replays. So yeah, obviously, higher player counts is a good thing. However, if we look at what 1 year of this game looks like, this time last year, right, January last year, it peaked at 3.2 million players. That, when I say that's the peak, that's all-time peak. And so, if we look at, say, December 2018, so not quite a month, not quite a year, because we're not done January yet. We're looking at 1.1 million peak. So that's a pretty significant loss. But I think what's important too is if I looked at the graph of what it looks like over the past year, there's a kink at June, which is when the new map came out. And that's really when the bleeding kind of stopped, because if we look at the numbers, right, if we look at peak player counts for the first 6 months of the year, we've lost 1.48, almost 1.5 million, or 60% of the player count. And on average, in terms of average players, 590,000, or 66%. So definitely a significant loss, but much better when you look at the next 6 months, which is a 640,000 peak loss, or 45%, and 327,000 average, which is 51%. So put the numbers side by side, you go from 60% to 45 in terms of peak, and average of 66 to 51. So, the game's definitely not dead, as some people said, but I don't see it being necessarily back and healthier than ever, hitting 1 million players again. But having said that, there are, I guess, 2 or 3 things to consider here. First off, it's still top 3 on Steam, right? Like, Dota is the closest game in terms of like average player counts. It's still better than CSGO, despite CSGO being higher than normal, having gone free to play. And the top 3 games on Steam are all way higher than number 4 and up. So yeah, it's still a very popular game. Oftentimes the most popular on Steam. But that's about all I have to say about that, really. yeah, they've done pretty good for themselves, and like I said, that new map especially has slowed down the player loss, which is a huge plus. So what else is there to say? Yeah, if we look at in terms of like updates and content and all that stuff, because that too has a huge impact on the player base and keeping players engaged. They've gone through a lot of stuff. At first, I was thinking about this, and I was kind of thinking to myself, "Hey, maybe they didn't actually do as much content, as many updates as I thought." So I started looking at patch notes and going month by month. I actually realized they've done a lot more than I kind of expected. So I decided, it's kind of a good idea to at least highlight 1 to 3 big things month by month since they launched the game, so we can kind of go over it and discuss if they've done the right thing, bad thing, and go from there. So obviously December last year was 1.0, right? In January, they came out with updates to Miramar, which was the new map at the time. They added 2 crates. As a side note, actually, before I keep going on about this, I'm going to ignore a lot of like the performance and anti-cheat updates. We'll kind of talk about that at the end here. So yeah, January, obviously new map came out. Need some updates and tweaks, so they've done that, and they added new crates. February, they changed the playing mechanics a little bit with that player count icon. You can now report players through the replay system, which to me is the way to go, right? If you think someone's cheating, I rarely do it in game unless I can see something really blatant. I'll instead go back and watch the replay and go from there. And oftentimes where I feel like someone might be cheating, I look at the replay and either, kind of lucky, right? Crossing in the right place, right time. Or in other cases, no, they just got outplayed, or it's a really good player. So, with that new system, I don't find myself reporting very often at all. They also added 2 new crates in February. March, they redid the scopes. They added weapon skins and emotes. Also, again, added 2 more crates. April, you can spectate your killer, which is a nice thing. They added new blue zone mechanics as well. May was the full weapon rebalance with a lot of new attachments. Plus, they added another crate, I believe, for parachute skins. June is the turning point. That's where Sandhawk was added. July comes in with Sandhawk updates. By the way, June also introduces the Battle Pass stuff. Or I think it was Battle Pass. I actually don't remember exactly what it was called, but in July they obviously updated the map, tweaked a few things. They added the QBU and the pickup truck, which are nice touches to that map. August, there's a new bullet penetration system to kind of help alleviate, the leaning. So your arm absorbs shots that a lot of people did. What was the other thing they did? Major UI improvements as well. They also added the barrel on the scooter, which nice new touches again. September, that's the whole Fix PUBG campaign thing, which is worth mentioning because, well, Fix PUBG, right? Game's clearly broken, as they imply. They added the cheating map, which definitely for some people that's a huge improvement, it's a huge addition. They actually redid the BP, the battle points, I think that's what they're called, with their survival system, which adds like daily missions, weekly missions, whatever. They also added the mutant and the tuk-tuk vehicle. October, you get the wheel menu, so now you can use heal items with console-like wheel selection menu instead of going into inventory and whatnot. They added in-game patch notes. kind of a significant thing because occasionally they would put out patches and the patch notes would not be out yet. So it would take a while for patch notes to come out. And they also added the Scorpion, which is a neat little weapon. November adds in a paid name change. That's about the most significant thing. For some people, that's actually pretty important. I know it's kind of a silly thing. It doesn't add much to the game, but at the same time, you know, a paid name change, being able to change your name, first of all, is kind of important. And yeah, some services allow you to change names without having to pay. It's kind of silly. But at the same time, I don't know. Like I think of Steam, for example, and you know, I've got people on my Steam that change names almost every day. So the paid name change option is not too sure how to think about that one. Anyways, and of course in December, that's when Vikendi, the new map, comes out. They overhauled the parachute system. They also added a G36C and the snowmobile to go with that map. So a lot of stuff in 1 year. Right? They definitely added a lot of content. They've done a good amount of work. And like I said, until you actually look at all the patch notes and see all the detail that went into it, they've actually done a lot more work than I kind of remember, and that most people give them credit for. Of course, like I mentioned, they've had a ton of performance improvements, some of them more noticeable than others, and anti-cheat updates, which have had mixed levels of efficiency, I suppose. Usually they work. There's definitely a couple months I've noticed that, yeah, it's been really, really effective, whereas others, you question if they've done anything at all other than just mentioning it in the patch notes. Of course, it's also worth mentioning there's a lot of other significant improvements that were not mentioned here that were maybe not even in the patch notes to begin with. Like as of recently, they've changed the how far the footsteps are when you're sprinting. Right, it's not mentioned anywhere in the patch notes, but yet they've changed it. They've changed stuff like extended mags and quick draw mags, extended quick draws. Like they've put in a lot of new assets per gun. Again, not mentioned anywhere that they've done some of that stuff, but you know, if you got a keen eye, you kind of notice some of these changes here and there. But yeah, overall, on the positive side, they've added a lot to the game, right? They've not necessarily charged you for it, but they are charging for that event pass. That's what I meant to say earlier when I said battle pass. They charge for the event pass for both Sandhawk and Vikendi. So what you're paying for is the ability to unlock a lot more cosmetics, get more XP technically as well, and points and whatever. So you know, that's kind of how they cover it. And so because of that, I'm not super opposed to that idea, but we'll talk about that a little bit more later on. Of course, looking at these patch notes, they seem to be getting more of an understanding of what players kind of want and what the game really needs. You can't really listen to everybody's feedback and try and do everything. You got to really sit down and kind of think about it. And it's not as easy as one would think, because if you listen to everybody's suggestions and opinions and whatnot, you're always going to get a different story from one player to another, right? So you could try and cater this for, like, say, the hardcore audience, and alienate a lot of your normal players, which in some cases a lot of those normal players are what's keeping your game alive, right? So you kind of have to find the right balance. And looking at these patch notes, they've gone from just adding content to actually tweaking stuff and making the game actively better later on. So they are starting to learn and understand and develop in a direction that will improve the game for everyone. Along a similar vein, of course, a lot of the content they've been adding is more gameplay related, right? So if you look at the first 6 months, it kept saying 2 crates every month. Last 6 months have been new gun, new vehicle every month. So nice transition. And the performance actually has noticeably improved. You know, I kind of hinted to them doing that every month and not being the most effective, but they have actually improved it, you know, noticeably in most cases. But of course, on the negative side, it's maybe not improved it as much as it should be improved by, as in the performance still isn't phenomenal for a lot of cases. Yeah, like both client side and server side performance is not exceptional. Client side, like for instance, I have a 1080 Ti. Yes, I do run this game quad HD, so I don't expect, you know, perfect 165 frames a second to go with that 165 hertz monitor. But I am still surprised that I don't hit 100 frames a second all the time. Obviously at 1080p it's a whole different story. You know, I've got 50% less pixels to draw, but wow. Again, there's replay. I'm kind of impressed that those guys on the mini map, they actually seemingly did see us earlier on. We got away with that. But yeah, anyways, continuing down the negative path here. They don't make a lot of use of some of the stuff they've added, right? They've done like custom events. They added a framework for that. You know, they've talked about custom server match modes, whatever, as well. Like they've done all of this work and all this stuff, and yet they don't make use of it much. I've only seen maybe 5 custom events as far as I can remember. They've probably done a couple more. But of those 5, or I can only remember playing like 3 of them. You know, the rest were like, oh, this is interesting, and I only play it once because it's like, it's not particularly fun. So yeah, I kind of wish that, you know, I kind of wish they had made more use of that. Like for instance, zombies, right? Everybody loves zombies apparently. And they've never actually had a custom event mode, right? It's in the custom server. They have stuff for it, but they've never actually made use of it on custom events. Similarly, like the custom game stuff, they opened it up, they closed it, opened it up, closed it. I think it's actually out now. I'm not too sure. They were saying that, you know, for the longest time they were keeping it for streamers only because they don't want to dilute it. Because it will get difficult to do custom games when, you know, everybody's making custom games. You're trying to get 100 players. It can be a little bit tough. So I can understand them not wanting everyone to host it, but at the same time, like, you know, if that truly is an issue, look at what players make in terms of custom games and maybe use that as a daily or weekly event idea, right? Yeah, like they added. Yeah, they haven't they added this whole crate system, and yet in the last 6 months they haven't really added any crates. So, you know, they've transitioned to this store that they have where you can buy a lot of new crates or a lot of the new skins mostly. There isn't really the idea of buying random crates or new random crates anymore. So again, all of these are, you know, similar negatives in how they have a lot of stuff in the game, but they don't make good use of a lot of it. Similarly, I'll just throw that one out there, right? The emote system. They added it as kind of a response to Fortnite in a way, but yet I don't think I've seen anyone use them. Like, it's very, even as a way to like taunt someone when you kill them, because you don't know if they're spectating. You don't know, like, you know, at least in Fortnite with the emotes, you know if someone's spectating you. So, you know, if you kill, in fact, you know when you kill someone, they'll automatically spectate you as well. So, you know, you kill someone, you can do your silly dance or whatever. At least you can make use of that. In this game, who knows? So, you know, they've added a lot of little pointless things here and there, and they don't really make use of it, which, yeah, kind of annoying. I alluded this earlier as well. Despite doing constant performance optimizations and anti-cheat updates, it's still far from good. Oh, actually, before I move on to the things they added, this is the big one. And this also works into the optimizations and anti-cheat updates, right? People have asked, hey, region lock China, let's get on board with that meme. But for real though, like they added this idea that okay, well, look, you match make based on your party will match make you automatically to presumably your region. And yet here I am, I still often get a lot of either I join a Chinese server or we get a lot of Chinese players in our game. Now, I have nothing against that, but the problem is more often than not the cheaters are Chinese players, which is kind of annoying. But more importantly, either I'm playing on a Chinese server where the performance is garbage, or I'm playing against Chinese players where their performance is garbage because the latency is so damn high. And, you know, they took out the ability to choose regions for matchmaking to help keep people in their own regions. And now I'm being sent over in other regions quite often for matchmaking, which... it's a bit of a hit and miss, though. Depends on the week, or it depends on the day. Some days it's particularly bad. Other days, not so much. So, again, they've added that feature and they don't make good use of it. So, it's definitely an annoying one, annoying issue to have. Yeah, also being slow to address issues. They don't always fix them correctly, right? The whole region lock thing. I know, funny joke that people love to make, but yeah, they've added something to try and make people happy, and they didn't do it right, clearly, because of the issues I just talked about. Yeah, there's a lot of other little things. Oh, I forgot to... I have to redo that thing. There we go. So you guys can see where all these remaining players are at. Yeah, they still have 4-hour weekly maintenance updates, which are annoying. I understand they do them at like their lowest player count period, which is still sort of peak North America time. So it means like every Wednesday. Yeah, I think it's every Wednesday they have maintenance. It means every Wednesday I can't really play the game, which kind of sucks. Because that 4-hour maintenance window winds up coming in, you know, around the time I would normally be able to play. The Vikendi season pass, or event pass rather, also is kind of an annoying one where they clearly seem to rely on the fact that they have a new paid option, so you can pay for leveling up your event pass thing. So if you want to, if you want to be able to get your 100 levels, because someone's done the math to show that getting the 100 levels is stupid hard. Yeah, they kind of want you to spend a couple of dollars here and there to get 50 levels or whatever for another $20 or something like that. I don't have the exact numbers. So yeah, overall, quite a few negatives, unfortunately. Right, with that transition to making you pay for a lot of stuff is kind of annoying. But overall, I'm not sure. I think overall, Sandhawk was definitely promising. Seeing them add that map in, which is what a lot of people really wanted in terms of gameplay. Right, it's a small map, pretty tight, a lot of close quarter combat, so it really speeds up the game. You really get a lot of action, keeps the rounds short. But at the same time, like, damn, these this transition to a lot of paid stuff, trying to really get more money through. It's kind of annoying. Oh, of course, this is the end of the replay, so yeah. So yeah, I think in conclusion, I don't know. I've been happy with a lot of the content and stuff that they've been adding. But I feel like at this point in time, especially with the newer Vikendi map, it feels like they've maybe kind of lost a little bit of touch with what the player base actually wanted. Like, yes, the winter map is cool, but no pun intended. It is a neat map, but it is a little bit bigger than what most people wanted. There's a lot of kind of dead zone, boring areas. So maybe not the most fun map. Like Dino Park's a terrible place to drop. It's just boring. It's not a particularly good, challenging area in terms of design. And what are these new patch notes? Oh, right. There's probably very specific notes as of. Yeah, there we go. There's the specific notes. Where are we today? I think we're the 9th today, so this would have been the patch from yesterday. Why does it keep scrolling up? Great. Scrolling on its own. What is this? See, these little issues like that. Clicking and holding here and it's not doing it. So yeah, I don't know, that's kind of my review here after 1 year of Battlegrounds. They were kind of getting it correct. They're kind of going in a good direction with Sandhawk and they're on. I feel like Vikendi's maybe a bit of a step backwards. If we actually look at the store here, how much were those levels? This might be in Canadian dollar. I feel like $5 would be $5 US. If I actually click on that. Oh, I actually don't want to confirm that. It's probably going to open the Steam thing, but I actually don't want to try that one, so let's not click on that. But yeah, I still buy the Survivor Pass. I thought it was Event Pass last time. Anyways, I still bought it because, I've not spent a full retail, at least here in Canada, retail price for a game is like $60, with a lot of them getting you to spend $80 on them now. I've still not spent that full amount on this game. I bought this game for maybe under $20 at one point. I believe it was maybe just under 20. And with the 2 event passes, I'm still below a retail game. So, with the amount of time I'm putting into it, I don't mind putting in a couple dollars here and there to get more stuff. But I am starting to question if I'm going to do this next time with how aggressive they are and how some of the missions are not good at all on this event pass. Like these look pretty reasonable. 3 kills with shotgun. Let's say I don't want to play with shotgun. What am I going to get? SMG. Actually, these daily ones are super good. That's a bit of a surprise. What are the week 4 items? Oh, throw 10 frags in a single match and you got to do that 3 times. That's kind of stuff that's just like... It's kind of annoying. 3 kills in a single match, that's not too bad. Top 5 in squads, not too bad. Take blue zone damage. Actually, a lot of these... Here we go. This one here is not that fun though. And actually these 2 in particular. You gotta use 25 fuel cans or gas cans and drive a certain vehicle for 2 hours, which it's definitely not as aggressive as drive 500k in a buggy. But that's the kind of stuff that they've added in, which has not been the most fun. Use 30 heal items, Paradise Resort, or drop in Quarry 15 times. Like, I get the idea of trying to make you play a little bit differently, but this also fits into my argument of maybe they don't actually know what this game needs and where to push, where to focus on for this game, because a lot of these are counterintuitive to standard gameplay. This week does seem less aggressive with a lot of stuff being, 2500 health. That's a huge part of this game. Survive at least 15 minutes. There's at least 5 minutes. Sure, without using heal item, these two are countering each other, which is kind of annoying. Throw 10 frags in a match. Jeez, that's annoying. Because depending how you play and how far you get into the match, you won't naturally wind up using 10 of them. Depending how you play as well, you rarely take blue zone damage. And then these two, well, it is what it is. Again, I think that's my conclusion here with 1 year worth of Battlegrounds. It's still a unique game in the marketplace. I would not consider Fortnite the closest competitor. It is the closest in a similar genre, but the games themselves are very different. So, Fortnite has every right to exist and be the top game. Everyone, I don't personally like it, but people who love it, good for them. That's the whole point of games, right? It's to have fun and entertain yourself, really. So people who love Fortnite, good. I'm really happy about that. People who love Battlegrounds, hey, we're kind of in the same boat, right? We both enjoy this game. People who love both, good for you, because they're both really good games in their own ways. But if I had to say one of the closest comparisons, I guess would be more the Call of Duty. But there's not too many competitors yet, and PUBG still is very unique in many ways. So they're not going to lose their player counts yet, but maybe in the future, maybe someone else will get the formula a little bit better than them, understand what the players want, understand the player base a little bit better, and this game may start slipping, but at least for now, despite having lost, if you look at player counts, despite having lost a lot of peak and average player counts, they're still top dog, and there's still nothing coming out in the next little while that's going to topple them anytime soon. So, hopefully they do get it on their feet. They do figure out a bit more what players want and continue in that direction. But if you asked me back in June, it felt like they were getting there, and this most recent Vikendi map and the event pass kind of pushing me back to maybe they got lucky. Maybe. Not too sure yet, so this time next year, I suppose we'll find out if they did get lucky, or actually they're kind of onto something. We just had to give it a bit more time to simmer to see how this game goes.